dancing in the wind and rain. Eyes are a fire, a flame. We don't even know our names, but labels don't mean nothing.
Hello, my friends. It is I, Danielle. I am back again, just like Eminem, coming at ya. Okay, I'm being stupid. I wanted to talk to you about myself for a little bit, if I can. Gonna be vulnerable again because that's what I do. Because once I learned being vulnerable is a superpower and that it can change your life, I just want to do it all the time. And many of you might know me and know that I'm turning the big 4-0 this year. And let's be honest, I'm not stoked about it, but I'm also processing it within myself, and I'm reflecting on my last 40 years. And I just wanted to chat with you about it and my life and all that good stuff. Just want to talk about, again, my passions that I'm passionate about is building confidence and learning to love yourself and being vulnerable. So, yeah. Being homeschooled and in religious cults and being subjected to a lot of spiritual abuse and religious abuse is really hard to overcome. Some people never get out of it. Some people do. And it's definitely a long process, and I still have ways to go because, the things you're taught from an early age in your formative years really are stuck in your brain, and it's a lot of work to overdo them. And in therapy, we talk about reparenting yourself and doing the work that you need to do for that, and that's a lot of work. It's also really hard. So that's definitely something that I've worked on a lot in therapy is just talking about my childhood, which everybody talks about their childhood in therapy, but I don't know. And talking about it with other friends who've gone through the same thing is so helpful. I don't even know how to describe how helpful that is, but we've all gone through so many similar things, and I don't feel alone and stupid. Like I'm the only one that's ever dealt with that. Like almost all of us have dealt with the same things, especially us women and girls that grew up like this. I think a lot of us had internal shame, a ton of internal shame, just simply from being a woman. Why, you might ask? Because of the patriarchy, and the Christian patriarchy in itself is the worst. Because they really don't value women, and all they do is elevate men and talk about how important men are, and women are less than men, and their only responsibilities and things that they should be doing are serving men, being there for men, having men's babies, raising men's families, cleaning men's houses and being there for the men at all times. And we aren't really autonomous. We don't really have value other than, what we can offer to a man. And we aren't encouraged to be educated, have our own thoughts and our own dreams. We aren't encouraged to put ourselves out there. Nothing. So when you feel as small and as tiny as an ant in your life, it's pretty hard to do anything and not just develop this, I'm a small person and I don't deserve anything. So that's basically my whole attitude growing up. I wanted to, shrink away and not cause problems. I'm the oldest daughter. I was homeschooled. I was in church every single, week, all the time. My parents were missionaries. We already know my story. I never dated until I was 24. I didn't have my first kiss until I was 25. So, there was a lot of things I had to deal with in of myself that I was scared about. And so I think some of the processes there for me was definitely, my first thing was going to beauty school. I talked about this in my very first episode. Going to beauty school and being around people that were not like me, and I got to experience different people from everywhere, was very eye-opening and super helpful for me just to understand that people that aren't Christians are also awesome and not evil. And that sounds dumb, but that's how you look at people, honestly. I think the next step for me was also learning to date. And learning to date sounds weird, but it really is. Like, I didn't know what I was doing. I had to go online. I had to put myself out there. I had to learn to talk to people. I did not have a teenage dating experience that most people have, where you learn things about boundaries and like what you want and you don't want in somebody, and how to have difficult conversations, or how to have sexual boundaries, or any of those kinds of things. I didn't learn any of that. I didn't know how to be friends without falling in love with somebody or anything like that. So dating was a big deal. And when I finally decided to have sex, the reasonings behind that, were a lot. I think I finally realized that I am more valuable than an intact hymen, and what my sexuality can bring to a man, and that my virginity is nobody else's but my own, and virginity is dumb. And if I want to give my body to someone else, I get to do that. It doesn't have to mean anything. It doesn't have to have this huge significance. I don't have to be in love with somebody. I can be in love with somebody. I can choose all the things. But for me, I was like, fuck this. I can't believe I'm holding on to this so tightly at my age of 27. And then I finally just did it. And let's be honest, I went a little crazy. Because I didn't know what I was doing, and I didn't know, again, how to have boundaries or say no. I wasn't really used to getting pleasure in my life in general. So having attention and, sexual pleasure and all of that was new and exciting. And I went I did my thing. I had a lot of terrible dating experiences that really broke me down, made me feel like crap about myself. But somehow I kept pushing through and continue to date and learn from dating. And people ask me all the time how I do it, and I really don't know. But at this point in my life, finally, I look at dating like it's a numbers game. Which sounds weird, but it is. The more people I meet, the closer I am to finding my person, or the person that I choose to be with, because I don't believe in only one person in our life. And I've had some good dating experiences. They may not have ended the way I wanted them to, but they've been pretty good. And I've had some terrible ones that I really had to learn from. So at this point in my life, I look at dating like I might meet a new friend. I might get to learn somebody else's story and share like a day of conversation and just getting to know somebody. And it doesn't have to be so much pressure to make it into a relationship, or does this person like me? Do I like them? Like, it's okay. I can be casual dating. I can get to know somebody. I can do whatever I want. And when I finally just kind of look at it that way, the freedom that gives me, and then there's no pressure for me in this situation, is so helpful. I definitely want to talk about why I chose to finally go to therapy in my mid 30s, and why it took so long, because there's multiple reasons for that. Some of it was I didn't have the money. Second, I didn't know how to find somebody. Third, I just wasn't ready. I was like kind of scared. I knew I wanted to do it. I didn't know what to do. Finally, I found my therapist through a whole bunch of coincidences, and I actually knew this person from a long time ago. I knew her children. I just knew of her, and then went to her, and it was super helpful. I still go to her every once in a while. I'm taking a break right now, but I went in the midst of a lot of family drama. And inner turmoil that I had with my parents and family and things going on. And that was the push that I needed. And also the relationship that I was in unhappy, and I didn't really know how to process that. And I didn't really know why I was unhappy in certain things. And going to therapy really helped me acknowledge my pain and really pinpoint where it came from, what it is, why I have it, and Sometimes that feeling that I have is protecting me from something. And that was like a super helpful concept, honestly. And I mean, we talked about my boyfriend. I learned how to have better conversations. I walked through how to have conversations and like what I wanted to say to somebody, because like I never felt like I had a voice in my life, pretty much ever. And I always felt like I was pushing to have that voice, whether it was being loud or obnoxious or sarcastic. I wanted attention, but I never felt like I had a voice. And so I think that's honestly my whole life, is learning how to have a voice. Yeah, that's a weird thing to think about, but I think I finally found it. It's taken a while, but yeah. And I think that everybody needs therapy. I don't think there's any shame in going to therapy. I had people talk to me about going to therapy at different points in my life. I had people be similar to therapists for me and mentors and people to bounce things off of that were really emotionally healthy. And I'm so grateful that I had those people, but I'm very grateful that I had friends and people around me pushing me to be better and to be more vulnerable and to go to therapy. 'Cause sometimes we need a little pushy push. So I finally did that. We also talked about this a little bit in my first episode. Some of the things that I've done just to learn how to have confidence, because again, I had no confidence. I had no voice. I had no love for myself. Nothing. Some of the things that helped me build that confidence was finally just being like, okay, it's time to do the thing. Going to beauty school, learning how to dance, doing things alone. I did a lot of things with a friend. We kind of were going through a lot of the same things at the same time. So we kind of like did stuff together that wasn't normal for us. And then, just the last, 3 or 4 years since COVID, I have been doing a lot of things by myself. And doing things by yourself is a whole other level of scary. And you're facing your fears. You're taking risks. And you're doing the things that scare you alone without any support. And for me, I think the first time I even did something like that, I was like, okay, I can do this. Just little things at a time. I went to a movie by myself and I was like, oh, okay, that's not too hard. Take myself out to dinner. Okay, that's not too hard. I can take myself on a little weekend trip away from myself and sit with myself and journal and be alone. Okay, I can do that. Okay, I did that a few times. I took pictures. I did some photo shoots for myself. Each time I did that, of course, I started out feeling scared and nervous and uncomfortable. And each time I did it, I got more and more confident in myself and excited to see the pictures. I did multiple different like boudoir sessions and personal photo shoots and things. And while it might sound slightly narcissistic to take pictures of yourself and learning how to take selfies and take photo shoots, like it's not really. I think it's really important. I think sometimes we don't want to look at ourselves. When we don't like ourselves, we don't want to see. And I think it's really important to look at ourselves in a picture, in a mirror, whatever it is. I think that's really important. So especially like looking at yourself naked or in lingerie or your underwear or anything like that, right? Just staring at yourself in the mirror is like one of the hardest things you can do. And I've done this so many different times in different ways. And, it is a rough experience sometimes, just sitting in front of a mirror and staring into yourself, into your soul, into your own eyeballs and looking at yourself for a while and just looking at your face and your hair and the wrinkle on your chin or the weird eyebrow shape that you have or the way your freckles go across your face or how your arm flab looks weird right there or your stomach. You don't really like how that's poking out over your pants. But I think sometimes you see the negative things first. Of course, they jump out at us. But when you really focus and push yourself, you can kind of drown those thoughts out and start to look away from the negative things. And you have to force yourself to be nice and think nicely about yourself and say positive things and look for the good. Anybody ever watch Pollyanna where she talks about looking for the good in everything? So dumb but cheesy, but it's totally true. Like, it's really important. So, I mean, that's something I would highly suggest, is just to kind of like take pictures of yourself a lot and look at them and look for the great things that you think other people see and have told you, and look at yourself like you're someone else. Would you ever say the things that you say about yourself to anyone else? Probably not, because you're not an asshole. So why are we assholes to ourselves? Great question. I've been asked that. I've been told that, I should say, from people in my life multiple times when they hear me talking shit about myself. And finally, I was like, oh my God, I do that all the time. I'm such an asshole to myself. I would never say that to anybody else. So that can be a very scary thing, is facing the fear of just looking at yourself, taking a photo shoot again, or wearing a different outfit that you would never wear, like a crop top or a bikini or anything. I don't know, whatever it is to you that makes you nervous and scared to take that risk, I think you need to do it. I mean, I'm not sitting here telling people to go jump off, bungee jumping or skydiving. No, thank you. But I'm talking those little things, especially the little things that we really don't want to do that make us nervous. Those are probably the things that we need to do, and we need to take that risk. And guess what? Without a risk, there is no reward. And every time you take a risk, there's some sort of reward that comes out of that. And I think you need to look at it that way. So, I mean, one of the big things that I did was, like I talked about, learning how to dance and being terrified of that. In my first episode, I talked about that. I even joined dance teams and performed in front of people. I've gone to different types of classes at this point. I did a pole dancing class. I've done some lap dancing classes. I've done heels classes. I've done burlesque classes. I've done a lot of different types of classes to push myself, and I feel so dumb. And you're looking at yourself in a mirror so much, and I'm just like, okay, I'm dumb, but I'm doing this anyways. And then, like I said, every time you do something scary, it benefits your life in some way. You learn from it, you get excited, you get encouraged, whatever. Or you're like, okay, I did that thing and I don't need to ever do it again. It's totally fine. Did nothing for me. Dancing brings me so much joy, and I'm so glad that I did it. Like, I don't even care what kind of dancing it is. It brings me joy. I think that I'm so glad that I did that, and my friends pushed me to go dancing with them, and that I was scared and I did it anyways. The other thing that I did that was pretty big not too long ago was traveling by myself. Like I told you, I took myself on some little mini trips in the state of California, and then I took myself on my own solo trip to Costa Rica, and I was so freaking nervous and stressed out about it. Oh my gosh, I just imagined all the terrible things. Like, I don't know, I got kidnapped, I got raped on the side of the street, I lost all my money in my phone, and, everything that I could think of that I was anxious about, I thought about. And then I just finally just did the thing one step at a time, and everything turned out okay, and it was great, and I learned so much from it, and I had such a fun time by myself. It just helped me discover myself on another deeper level, and I got to see things that only I saw, and now those are my special memories that nobody else, experienced with me. I think those are important. Some of the other things that I have done, like those self-love things. Self-love can be so many different things to people, and I think for me, like I talked about a little bit ago, like looking at myself in the mirror, just nurturing myself. What does nurturing yourself look like to you? To me, it's sometimes sleeping in. Sometimes it's going to a yoga class. I remember never going to yoga. I was so nervous and scared. I didn't know what I was doing. I pushed myself. And why is yoga awesome? Because it literally just forces you to breathe and sit with yourself. And that's some of the hardest things to do, is just sit with yourself and not think about other things and just be present. Be present with yourself, your emotions, your feelings, everything. I don't do affirmations all the time, but I definitely think they're very important, and I've been trying to do them more. I mean, what is an affirmation? What does that mean to you? Like the other day, I had a conversation with somebody, and I bought some crystals that just kind of like symbolize some different things, and she encouraged me to do an affirmation in front of the mirror. And I did. I had some time before work. I sat and I grabbed my little crystal, which, woo woo, but it just kind of helps ground you and you get a little bit of energy from that crystal itself. I was just holding it. I closed my eyes. I looked at myself in the mirror before I closed my eyes and I just said things to myself like, I'm worthy. I am worthy of having a thriving business. I am worthy of attention. I am worthy of an amazing man to be with who loves me. I am wealthy. I am smart. I'm kind. I'm beautiful. All those kinds of things. I just sat and said those things to myself and breathed and just sat there in the dark. And afterwards I felt really good. I definitely need to do that more often. So I'm going to definitely encourage you to do that, even if it's for 1 minute. I need you to start doing that because there's something so powerful in that. And I think I also talked about this before on other podcasts, but I want to remind you again, if you feel like shit about yourself and you're on social media a lot, you need to change up your social media or you need to get off of it completely, cold turkey or parts of it. I got off TikTok cold turkey for about 2.5 weeks. And, that was hard because I would doom scroll like crazy. And now I did put it back. I definitely am not doom scrolling as long and doing as much. There's still Instagram and all those things, but I curated my social media on my Instagram feed. I deleted a bunch of models. I deleted celebrities. I deleted people that had body shapes that I thought I wanted or I envied or whatever. I deleted all those people and I started following people that were different. I followed disabled people. I followed queer people. I followed fat people. I followed mid-sized people. I followed just anybody that was encouraging and living their life and being confident. I started to follow. And that helped so much just to see that all the time on my feed because sometimes we don't see it in real life. And so we got to force it, I think something really big for me was exercise also, because we're told a lot by society and people and our parents and whatever that, exercise is to keep you thin and in shape, and you got to be in shape and you got to be good looking to catch a man so that you can be married, so that you can have children and blah, 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 blah. So, I didn't grow up doing exercise or sports or literally anything. I think I had 1 season of softball. That's about it. And I hated it. The rest of my family did some sports and I never did. So I always felt stupid and unathletic and so out of shape. And I finally just went to somebody invited me to this grand opening for Orange Theory Fitness. And I went to it and it was hard and I couldn't breathe. But I kept going and I started to fall in love with it. And I fell in love with exercise for myself. And I eventually got my personal training certification and started teaching some classes and different things, which I felt completely unqualified for. But once I realized that exercise is not just to be thin and skinny and whatever, and to look like a certain way, exercise makes me feel better emotionally, mentally, and physically. It challenges me because I can do harder things. I push myself longer, whatever it is. Like I set a goal and I can do that goal. You work towards something, and that it's fun to be strong. Not gonna lie. I like being strong. Yeah, I want to be stronger. I'm still going for that. So yeah, like falling in love with exercise and the joy of movement, whether it's dancing or yoga or Pilates or weightlifting or whatever it is. Find something. It could be hiking too. It could be whatever. But find something for yourself that is movement and good for you and that you really like. And that's going to help you so much. And it helped me a lot. Some other things that I have learned is boundaries. Dun, dun, dun. Yes, boundaries are not something I was allowed to have or taught to have, except for like a few things, obviously. Absolutely no sex, don't touch me, you can't do this, you can't do that, but what is a boundary? A boundary is for you. It's not for anybody else. It's literally for you so that you can protect yourself. And it's for you. So you get to choose what that boundary is and what that means to you. If someone doesn't like that boundary, that's okay. They don't have to like it. And it's okay if they don't like it, because it's not for them, it's for you. And enforcing those boundaries is a whole other thing, honestly. So learning boundaries in your personal life and your business and your relationships with your family and dating and all that is like such a journey and so hard. And I was always just terrified to have conversations that were difficult with anybody. I would literally get so anxious. I would get sick to my stomach. I would be shaky. I would think about it constantly. I couldn't sleep. Like if I knew I needed to break up with somebody, I was just terrible. If I knew I had to have a conversation with somebody that like had to happen, just panic. It was terrible. And I would have to process it so many times with people in advance and talk it through, because it helped me not be as anxious. And then finally I would do the thing, and it would be scary and it would be really hard. And sometimes I didn't do it good, but I did it. And each time I did it, doing that thing again has helped, or it's gotten easier. I still don't like it. Nobody likes it, but it's important. And when people cross your boundaries, instead of, reacting to it later, sometimes it's better to respond in the moment and just be like, hey, that's not really what I'm about. And just be gentle about it. And you don't have to freak out and scream. It's okay. But the more you use your voice with your boundaries and your conversations and difficult conversations and all that stuff, the easier it is to enforce your boundaries and talk about it with other people, and to have difficult conversations with people and face your own difficult stuff and the boundaries within yourself that you will or you will not cross. And I don't know, it's just a journey. Like, seriously, I don't even know half of what my boundaries, I didn't even know what my boundaries were in so many things. So I had to discover that, first of all. And my boundaries have changed over the years, and sometimes they're one way and sometimes they're not. And that's okay. I just need to also identify what they are and put them in place and know that there's nothing wrong with those boundaries, and be confident in those boundaries, be confident in enforcing them, and, telling them to other people. Let's talk about boundaries and dating and sex for a second. Oh, I had no fucking clue what I was doing, and I experienced a lot of things that I didn't want to experience, honestly, and that were not the best. I had a lot of men push my boundaries, and I didn't know how to say no. Eventually, the pressure and manipulation of it, I gave in, and, that's a whole other discussion. Forced coercion is not consent, and that's not good for you or anybody. I don't know. So I learned a lot of things about myself and what I would accept from people each time something like that happened. And I would be mad at myself, and I would beat myself up about it. This is stuff I still work on forever, probably, but that was really hard. The boundaries and the sex and the dating part. Oh my God. So hard. I don't even know what else to say about that, honestly, but I'm learning to not put myself in those positions, period, and just be like firm about, no, I'm not going to do that, and this is why, and this is what I want from you, and if you're not going to do that, bye. And you know what? There's a lot of power in being single, and people forget. And people desperately don't want to be single because why? Because they have to sit with themselves. They have to process their own feelings. They have to deal with their shit. And nobody wants to do that because it's hard. And everyone tells us that we're more valuable and we're better off if we have a partner. And that's not necessarily true, because I know a lot of people with partners and their partner is a piece of shit and their life is terrible. So what does that tell you? Yeah, there's a lot of power in being single, and there's a lot to learn about respecting yourself enough to not be in a relationship that you shouldn't be in. But with that comes a lot of loneliness, and it's hard. Sometimes I am touch deprived and hug deprived. I touch people all day. I don't always get a lot of hugs or cuddles or, holding my hand or things like that. Sex is easy to get, and I get that if I want it, but it's not quite the same thing sometimes as just, physical touch and like waking up next to somebody and being excited and just cuddling with them in bed, and then like having someone to talk to you about your day. I don't really have people to talk to a lot about my day when I'm driving home and I had something stressful happen or something great happen. I have to keep a lot of that in, and I have a few friends that I talk to about stuff. And as I've gotten older, I have less friends to talk to, which is okay, because more of my friends are safer to talk to, but I don't feel the need to talk to them about as much stuff. But at the same time, it does get lonely, because it's nice to just know that somebody gives a shit about that one weird little thing that happened and you can tell them about it. I don't have that. And that sucks sometimes, but sometimes it's okay also. So don't let anyone tell you it's amazing. And some people love it. Good for them. I don't. But sometimes I do love it. So, there's pros and cons of both. No one is telling me what to do. That's for darn sure. I don't do well with that. Yeah. I just can't believe that I'm going to be 40. Honestly, I was thinking about why I was so stressed about it. And I was like, why is this bothering me so much? And I think I realized that the only people that I knew in my life that were 40 felt old to me, like parents, and the only women that I knew that were in their 40s, most of them were worn out and tired moms and exhausted and not happy in their lives or their relationships. I didn't have happy, successful women around me that were living their best lives in their 40s. I never saw that ever. So of course I don't want to turn 40, because I think that I expire. Sexually I expire, physically I expire, my looks expire, my brains expire. I'm no longer worthy to live on this planet because I am now middle-aged. And that's such bullshit. And I literally have to tell myself this 300 times right now, because it's still there and I'm still just dealing with it and pushing it down. And I'm like, nope, that's not true. Turning 40 is awesome. I've lived hopefully half my life. It went by fucking fast. I learned a lot of shit. I love myself. Finally, I love my life. I can prove it at any time, and I'm always trying, but things are good. I've done a lot of cool shit, and I've had a lot of cool relationships with people. My body has changed a lot over the years. I don't like the little cellulite that I have now and the extra loose skin that I got, and some new age spots and wrinkles and things. I don't love all of that stuff, but that's okay. I still love myself. And if I want to improve it a little bit with some Botox or a facial or whatever I want to do, I'm also okay with doing it, because I don't hate myself. And I'm not doing it because I hate myself. I'm doing it because I love myself. And I just want to improve that a little bit. And also, if I can pay for it and I have money for it, who the fuck cares? Do whatever the fuck you want. You want bigger boobs? Go get it. But don't do it because you don't like yourself. Just don't do things because you don't like yourself. That's such a bad way to do things, Yeah, I have a lot of gray hairs. I have to cover those up more and more. I have to start using reading glasses more often. My back hurts more. I don't have the stamina that I used to have when I was younger. So many things have changed. But also, like I said, they've gotten so much better. The confidence that I have now compared to me 10 years ago at 30 is so much better and bigger and more exciting. And I'm so proud of myself for how far I've come, you guys. I'm so proud of myself. When I look back at my life, I'm like, oh my God, I cannot believe that is who I used to be, and the things I used to do, and the things I used to say and believe about myself. And now the things that I believe now and things that I'm pushing myself to do, I'm excited for myself, and I'm proud of myself. I'm patting myself on the back for being a badass bitch, doing what I want, taking risks and falling on my face sometimes, but getting up and doing it again and trying it in a new way. Because again, without any risks, there is no reward. And I love rewards. And I love being the best version of myself that I can be. I do it in my business. I do it at the gym that for myself. I do it with dancing. I do it emotionally. All those things. I like that. I can't imagine being complacent my whole life. I know people like that. And I just look at them and I'm like, that's so sad for you. That this is just who you are. And you don't really care about improving yourself or being better. Even if it's just like emotionally or mentally. That's really sad. And all that shit's hard, but you can do it. And your life is going to be so much better than you thought it could be if you just did the scary things. So, yeah, again, I'm turning 40 in like 4 weeks, exactly 4 weeks from now. And I'm planning myself a birthday party. I bought myself another boudoir photo shoot that I'm really excited about. I have some tough stuff this year. It's been a stressful year, I'm not going to lie, but I am pushing myself and taking risks all over the fucking place and doing so many new things. And again, I'm proud of myself. I'm excited for what's to come. And I really hope that whoever is listening is encouraged just by hearing me word vomit my life to you. Because when I see people around me doing cool stuff and hearing about how they've overcome things and pushed through things, like it really encourages me to do those things. Again, that's why I started this podcast, because I just want like everyday people to talk about everyday shit. I don't care about celebrities and what they've done. I do not give a flying fuck about them. I want to know what my best friend around the corner has done and all the shit she's pulled herself out of. Those are the people that I want in my life, pushing me, being vulnerable, encouraging me, empowering each other. Those are such blessings. Those people are blessings. I'm excited to have them in my life. I want to be more like them. That's what I want this podcast to be for you. If you even listen, if there's 5 of you, I don't care. If you feel encouraged and empowered after hearing one of these episodes, somebody's story, like literally that's my goal. That's all I want. I just want to do a little love butt tap to push you in the right direction, or a little bit farther in the right direction. And also just, I love you guys. And thanks for listening. I didn't really even know what I was going to talk about, but thanks for listening. And I am going to encourage you to reflect on your journey right now. I don't know how old you are. I don't know what you're doing in your life, but, can you write out some things for yourself that you look back and see that you've done that are great, that you've learned from, that were really hard? Can you write those down? Because it's really powerful when you write it down, then you look at it. So write them all down, and then think about some things that you still need to work on, and then write those down, and then think about the steps that you need to take to push yourself and to overcome those things, and just to be more loving and kind and confident towards yourself and to other people, and to just have more joy in your life. So that is my encouragement to you. I hope that you do those things. And if you do those things and you feel like sharing them with me, you can. I would love to hear them. If you want to DM me on our Instagram, which is the Lotus Collective Podcast, you can email me at lotuscollectivepodcast@gmail.com. I have some cool people coming up and some ideas for future episodes, and I'm really excited about them. And I'm really excited that my friend Yulia is helping me with this podcast. She's so encouraging and she's helpful, and she's making it sound a little bit better and giving me advice on things and helping with the social media. And she really is encouraging. And she and I had an episode that you should go listen to, talking about hair and how powerful it is. So I just wanted to do a little shout out to my girl, Yulia. I love you so much. Thank you so much for helping me. And shout out to all of you badass babes, because I know you're doing cool shit. And I love you. And I will talk to you later.
Dancing in the wind and rain, eyes are a fire, a flame. We don't even know our names, but labels don't mean nothing, they're just words.